was wrong.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Boston.
And I'm Rennie.
And today, we have some news for you. As many of you know, we've filmed at a demolition derby, and yeah.
Yeah, we basically want to tell you about the shoot that went horribly, awfully, terribly wrong. So, 4 or 5 years ago, we were writing the script and we got it in our heads that we were gonna make the script. Mind you, we had still written it without really budget in mind. And we had this event, the Demolition Derby, that was like key to our character's success at the beginning of the film. And we talked about this derby so much, and we're like, derbies are just so expensive, so expensive. We did some research, we did some calling around, and we found a couple demolition derbies that were willing to let us come and shoot for free.
The one that we really loved, and especially the space we really loved, was down in Manti. They had this old grandstand. It just looked beautiful. So we went down there and we scouted it out. We talked to a derby driver, Robbie Layton, who is a fantastic derby driver. He's won derbies. Shout out to Robbie.
Shout out to Robbie.
Number 24, Robbie Layton.
And he hooked us up with a guy named Brandon Olson, who runs the Sanpete County Demolition Derby. And Brandon was amazing to work with. He was like, yeah, come in here. Here's where you'll be safe. And he set up everything for us. And it was great. We were excited.
It was a good shot.
And then we set up a shoot, and we got some friends together, people who work in the industry with really awesome cameras. We had a red camera on set, we had a drone on set.
These are like $60,000 cameras. We were talking to Robbie, we talked to him beforehand about mounting cameras inside of the cars, and then we had 2 cameras on the sidelines that were gonna be picking up other shots. And so we were decked out, we were ready to go.
I had a wardrobe put together, we had a home base, and this is where the trouble started.
We wanted to fly a drone over the Demolition Derby as it was happening, but in the old Sanpete County Derby grounds, there were all these power lines. So you're not supposed to fly over crowds to start with, but these power lines, not only were they creating like really hard flight paths, but they were also interfering with the actual drone sensor controls. And drone technology wasn't what it is now, 5 years ago. So we were flying this big bird with a red cinema camera on it. And we were stoked to get all this footage. It was gonna be great, blah, blah, blah. But basically what happened was they were only able to launch and set down from a far distance. And because of the interference, really only get about 3 solid takes during the derby.
And this derby lasted for at least a couple hours, so it was just not a lot of footage compared to the amount of time that the derby was going on for.
Yeah. So that didn't go too well. So that was problem number 1. Problem number 2.
So I watched Boston and our DP, Eric Pasternak, basically try to troubleshoot a stabilizer for about 4 hours on the floor of this house that we were using as home base at the time. And I felt like they wanted to rip their hair out the entire time. Like the tension was so thick as time was moving forward. And eventually, you guys just had to give up and just move on and decide this is not gonna work. Really.
Again, in the last 5 years, stabilizer technology has vastly improved. But that's kind of how it was. So we then handed off the A camera to our main operator, Justin Allman, and he just went around and got the most beautiful shots for the rest of the derby, which we'll talk about what happened to that footage later. But let's go into problem number 3.
Then
So we had a B camera. We were shooting on a Blackmagic 2.5K, Gen 1 camera, beautiful camera. And this has never happened before or since, and I've only found maybe 1 instance of somebody talking about this happening online, but they shoot directly to a solid state hard drive, like a laptop hard drive. And while we were in the middle of filming, Eric comes over to me and he says, look, our operator just told me that the camera's not recording because the hard drive has failed. Which was so bizarre. This has not happened.
and it had been going for a couple hours at that point.
So we lost about 2 hours of footage from our B camera, and we're talking all these really cool angles on a telephoto lens of cars smashing into each other and sun flares and all this beauty. And
gone.
It was gone.
Just gone.
And he was like, maybe we can recover the hard drive, but at the end of the day, that didn't happen.
Did not work.
Luckily, they kept filming. They had another hard drive, so we got about 20 minutes more of some footage. That was just as good as what they were getting, but again, it was like 20 minutes versus 2 more hours.
And if that's not enough,
problem number 4.
Are we on problem number 4? I was like, I can't keep track.
So we had 2 cameras that we mounted inside of our derby car. And in the first take of our camera, we were going to always have 2 cameras rolling. We mounted one camera right behind the driver and another one from a side angle. And the camera from the side angle, like, I don't remember if it was like, we welded basically the mount to the car and then attached our camera to that welding. And I don't know if the welding broke, but something happened where the camera basically dislodged, and it was covered in bubble wrap, but it still dislodged from the base of the camera, fell to the bottom, and for the entire derby heat, filmed the bottom of the derby car.
Recorded the floor.
So,
and on top of that, it got damaged enough that we had to go get it serviced, and I think we had rented that camera, right?
Yep.
And you know, of course, the company wasn't happy, and so we had to get it serviced, and it was just such a mess.
Yeah, and ultimately it meant that we couldn't mount that camera again, so we had one camera that we could mount inside of the cars. All right, so that was how the shoot went. We lost 80% of our footage from camera B. We weren't able to shoot the shots we wanted with camera A, but we got them. The drone was able to get 3 takes instead of like 20. So we got about 10% of the footage we wanted out of that. And then we got about 50% of the footage from the car cameras, but we got footage.
We wanted to use it as promotional footage to help us raise money. We did think it would probably, some of the footage would end up in the movie itself because we were hoping to shoot that year. But that being said, that is not where the problems ended. This shoot truly was cursed.
So we went over to to Justin's house, and he had all of the footage from our A camera. That was all the beautiful shots following Rennie's character into the derby grounds, all this wonderful close-ups and crowd shots that he got, beautiful telephoto stuff of cars crashing, backlit by these stadium lights. It was just wonderful. I remember looking through these takes with him at his house and going, oh my gosh, we have a movie to make here. And so we backed all that footage up. As I walk in here to DaVinci, I open up my feature film project, and I'm going to start a new project called Shotgun Jimmy. And I had my first instance. You want to always have multiple instances when you're backing up footage. So my first instance I had at his house. I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna head over to the DP's house and back this up. So I drove over to our DP's house, and in the middle of backing it up, the hard drive we were backing up from and the hard drive we were backing up to both corrupted.
Sweet, that's all we needed.
Both of them at the exact same time, which, first of all, just
doesn't happen. Yeah, not both at the same time. Like, one of these problems happening during a shoot is very rare, but the fact that, like, we had all of these problems
a solid state drive dying while shooting, and then we had these, so we were backing it up, so I call up Justin right away, and I'm like, hey, just so you know, the footage I just got from your house, I was backing it up, and the drive failed, and he said, oh no, I literally just wiped that card 5 minutes ago. So all of our A camera footage was gone. Like,
even just talking about it now, I am having flashbacks of just like the depression and just it was like a dark black hole that we all just like. Hey, neighbor.
Oh, hi.
Did you learn a little lesson from this episode?
I sure did.
Me too.
I learned that in filmmaking, as in life, it's always good to have a backup plan.
Amen.
In fact, a guy came up to me and he was like, well, that's what you get for filming a demolition derby, bro.
Ew, what a jerk.
I know. Except, actually, yes, we lost a crash cam, but we had a backup. Really, this episode is about us planning a film shoot with lots of backups and having 3 of those backups fail in freak accidents.
Which is very rare.
However, all that meant was we only got about 20% of the footage we were dreaming of getting.
And we cut a sick promo out of it anyway.
Big County, are you ready for the final over $10,000 out there on the arena floor? Gentlemen, start your engines!
That's right, we took that edit and we sent it back to the Derby last year, and they invited us back. So we went back, and if you want to find out what happened when we went back to the same demolition derby with about the same crew and the same camera count, that's coming up in a future episode.
So to find out all the exclusive details, click on the link below and sign up for our newsletter.
And we'll send you a whole bunch of other content that we couldn't even cover in this episode. If you or someone you know is interested in learning more about the filmmaking process overall, how you can learn the skills, techniques, and processes to create your own content, then make sure to click in the link below and sign up for our free filmmaker crash courses and masterclasses.
What do you think, Sanpete County?
Filmmaking, storytelling, and vlogging is an incredibly fun endeavor that can at times be pretty daunting to get into, or to learn how to even get to the next level, and we would love to help you learn how to get there. So sign up using the link below, and thanks again for watching.